And we now move on to our second presentation, which is going to be delivered by Sister Sneha Gill from India, presentation sister from India. And to introduce Sneha, I'll just mention a little bit about her. She was educated by the presentation sisters, and she has a background in social work, social activist. And for many years, she was involved in working with people in the slums in India, both in urban settings and in rural settings. So wide experience, over 20 years doing that. And then she went on and did some legal studies and began taking a rights-based approach to these matters. And she has 10 years of experience working on the legal side. And in recent years, she was also a member of the Delhi Minorities Commission from 2017 to 2022. So she has wide experience, and she's also connected with the many parts of the presentation network, the IPA, the International Presentation Association. So she has connections with Geneva and New York, I'm sure, as well. So Sister Sneha, we're delighted you're with us, and the floor is now yours to give your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, and as it suits to each country, my greetings to each of my brothers and sisters who have come around this auspicious and very special gathering called by Edmund Rice International. It's a great joy and privilege for me, a presentation sister, to share my advocacy experience. I would be sharing, my dear friends, my experience as a woman, as an advocate, as human rights activist, and as a religious sister, a presentation nun in India. I would base my sharing on the theme violence against women and children in the context of my experience as a practicing advocate and as a social activist. I'm going to share also regarding a domestic violence case of Shanti. I have changed the name for certain reasons. She was thrown out of her matrimonial home by her in-laws and husband. Her father-in-law wanted to have sexual relationship with her when she was left alone in the house. She was made to sign on divorce papers by her husband without explaining the content. She did not receive any settlement amount as her husband had not explained that he was getting the papers signed on divorce decree. He took her daughter away when she was only 5 years old. Daughter did not recognize her mother since her father had already got married with a divorcee who brought in her daughter. But my dear friends, Shanti suffered trauma because only when she came searching for help at different doors, here I would like to share with you that she was even insulted and thrown out from her own parents' house. She came to me when I had to file her domestic violence case. As I filed her domestic violence case, divorce decree was handed over to her by the opposite counsel in the court. Only then did Shanti realize that her husband played fraud with her life. She was shattered. We also had to trace her daughter, who went missing from the day when her husband took her away after getting divorce decree. I filed writ petition in Delhi High Court to know the whereabouts of her daughter. We were able to trace the husband and the daughter, after 2.5 years, when I filed domestic violence case, and we tracked him and his address in Mumbai through a religious priest who supported me by his Central Bureau Investigation Officer in Bombay. Her own parents, as I've shared with you, friends, did not support her when her husband deserted her. They blamed her for breaking the marriage. Shanti is staying alone in Delhi, fighting legal battle, fighting to get her own identity as a single woman. She is still fighting her case against her husband to get her maintenance and her daughter's custody. Shanti has come to Delhi Legal Service Authority to get legal aid counsel. Since then, where she could get, because she could not afford to get a private counsel, she became my favorite person because she was psychologically broken. We had to build her psychologically through counseling sessions to make her strong to fight for her rights in the court. Today, Shanti is supported by LEHRI, the Legal Aid and Human Rights Initiative, which we run as a religious in Delhi. She is fighting her maintenance case. She is supported by the stakeholders such as social workers, presentation sisters, human rights initiatives to stand on her feet today. Today, she is a law student. Today, Shanti is an office manager. She does all our administrative jobs in the court. She is also connected with IPA, my dear friends, because she has been interviewed for the domestic violence initiative that has been taken by the IPA. I would be sharing with all of you regarding our IPA advocacy network. She has become a great support to our own domestic violence victims. All those who come to our office, she is a pillar of support. She stands as a strong rock for these women who suffer domestic violence and even rape at the hands of our society. I would like to go into analysis of Shanti's situation in our Indian context to understand why we need the analysis in order to take up our advocacy work effectively. Because of our patriarchal mindset, girl child is not given equal treatment in her own family. Shanti was sent only for till 10th grade education. Her father did not want to invest in her education. She was married off at the age of 15 in a remote Bihar village. She gave birth to her daughter after 5 years. She received much taunt from her in-laws and husband because she was not able to bear a child the following year. Woman is seen as a curse by her own in-laws when she gave birth to her first girl child. Her husband got opportunity to go abroad for his studies, and that is where her life took turn. He found a better partner for himself in his workplace. Even when the husband has come back to the court for divorce, he has taunted her, blamed her for being a woman of no character. She was not explained anything about her divorce. She was made to stay with the in-laws even after getting her divorce for 1 year. One fine day, they threw her out of her matrimonial house and they asked her that she could go and stay in her husband's grandmother's house and look after her. When she kept inquiring regarding her daughter and husband, the in-laws threw her out at night in her night dress alone. As per Indian mindset, girls should not leave her matrimonial home. Only her dead body must come out from her husband's house. She must suffer and die in her husband's house. That is the patriarchal mindset that women and the girl child continues to suffer in India and in many other parts of Asian countries. I could feel her pain as a woman, as an advocate. I helped her legally to fight her case. Since we have a legal network, as I've shared with you, Larry, we do support her financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Today, Shanti stands professionally as an advocate student. She studies her law to stand on her own feet to get her rights. All the poor women who come to our legal office find great comfort and solace in her. With our human rights initiatives has given strength to her to stand on her own feet. Today, Shanti becomes an inspiration to many battered women, and they draw strength from her solidarity and the networks working for violence against women in Delhi, with Delhi NGOs at national and international bodies, such as IPA, where I belong to as a presentation sister. I would like to share with you, my friends, in spite of best laws in favor of women to protect them in India, still the mindset of men and our patriarchal attitude in our society at large is a very narrow-minded and hence does not give respect for battered women who suffer in their matrimonial homes, with their husbands, in their in-laws, or who are single women who stay alone in cities or in rural areas. The second part of my presentation I would like to share is the prophetic response that I would like to give to ourselves as an advocacy journey. For me, it is a spiritual journey to heal our world. I am convinced that God created male and female in their own image and likeness. We have diminished the image of women as mere objects to be used and thrown. I feel the Lord has called me as woman, as a presentation woman, to bring good news to this broken and outcast, our women, my sisters, those who are considered low and outcast. In India, to be born as a scheduled caste is a curse, but to be born as a woman, as per Hindu tradition, an outcast and then untouchable is still worse. And woman is seen as the least to be disrespected in our mindset. Here, for me, the prophetic response that I make that Christ came to bring liberation to our women in their pain and unending agonies that women continue to go through, either through domestic violence, rape, acid cases, and other also protection of children, those who go through rape at a very young age. As I deal with these cases, I draw strength from Jesus, the gospel, who stood for women caught in adultery, women at the well, who brought forth new life and revelation to her own personal life who discovered personal God in Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, who showed her special affection to Jesus. And Mary Magdalene was condemned by his own disciples when she was washing the feet of Jesus and wiping them with her own tears. We know very well that Jesus was Christian, and his very credibility of her character came into question when she performed that act. But Jesus took side of the woman, knowing well that he has understood what she was doing, and he was able to take stand even to oppose his close friends. He lived, even though Jesus lived in a patriarchal mindset, when he crossed his social boundaries, even when he was questioned. Jesus challenged the social customs and made women who were made less than men a dignified persons in his presence. He loved them, affirmed them, and assured them as children of God. I too feel women need to continue as they continue to suffer in our world. We bring a prophetic response by standing with them, fighting their cause, and carving a new journey with them. My way forward with my sisters for domestic violence cases and sexual offenses are I'm happy to belong to a religious presentation family where I get connected with networks, social networks, parish networks, church groups, diocese, solidarity groups of women. Particularly, I take great pride in saying that we, the women presentation women, go back to our roots. Nano, who paid visit to fallen women late in the evenings with lantern, showed her compassion. She desired to bring wholeness and solidarity. She wanted to bring dignity to these women. Hence, dear friends, as women with compassion, I am also very happy and very grateful to God for having the opportunity to belong to an IPA that gives UN advocacy focus is on exploitation, sexual exploitation, violence against women. We have taken this stand as a congregation to honor the rights of indigenous and tribal people, to build a special advocacy focus on women and children. And particularly in 2020 to 2022, we, the presentations, have come out with a strategy to come out with our action plan to strengthen our advocacy focus, which is elimination on violence against women and children. Hence, violence against women and children is our fundamental human rights, violence that is to prevent at worldwide. Therefore, we as presentation sisters across the globe are here to promote advocacy on behalf of violence against women and children. We also use a strategy as a whole to come out with a right-based education by bringing awareness, by strengthening our relationship and collaboration. Hence, we are as a congregation have taken up certain projects, certain guidelines for ourselves, procedures to come out with multi-dimensional approach so that we are in a position to come out with private policy decisions. Since I am an advocate in my Delhi High Court, Supreme Court, and in District Court, I take this great privilege to share that my life is blessed because I have journeyed with them. I have journeyed, shared their struggles, and I feel being blessed and honored because I embarked this journey as a daughter of Nano with my less privileged sisters. And it is a call, it is a ransom, and it is a passion that I received from Nano and from Jesus. Hence, I want to conclude by saying that we, the presentations, have come up with publication and research that has interviewed violence against women or domestic violence cases, which will be given a voice, which gives them an opportunity to speak up. And we are naming and condemning that what needs to be condemned at every level. Hence, it's my joy and my privilege as a presentation sister, as a woman, and as a social activist to be part of this great network. Thank you so much and hope to meet in the same network once again.
So thank you very much, Sneha, for sharing a very kind of detailed story about Shanti and how the Presentation Sisters Network had worked to support her going through a very difficult situation. And your passion and your commitment as a social activist comes across very strongly in what you presented. So thank you very much.